Sometimes film is the only way that we can see things that are happening in the real world that we are avoiding. And this movie is one of those films, and we are going to be diving into that today and what you need to know and take away from this movie.
I don't know about you, but learning that this film took 7+ years made me see this film in a totally different light. Stick with us. We're going to break down this film in the psychological ways that you might not have seen the first time around.
Hey, everybody, it's Bianca.
Welcome back, Evolvers. It's Amelia. We're so excited to have you on the journey today. Bianca and I are all smiles because we get to do the damn thing and talk about the fact that Avatar was way more than Blue Monkeys and why you need to watch it. Avatar, Fire and Ash, the James Cameron original incredible cast. Yes, people are talking about it. Yes, if you go on IMDb right now, you have the little like floofies going. It's so cool. But for episode 472, by the time you're done listening with this episode, whether you've seen it or you haven't yet, we're not going to give away the film, so don't worry about that. But we are going to talk about some really important themes that, should you want to go see it, look through, right? This is what we call the Evolve lens. So by the time you're done with this episode, hopefully by watching this or had watched this, you are totally transformed in the way in which you now see film. This is the Evolve lens. So let's get into it. So Bianca, you said getting into this recording room, everyone noticed I just did a big inhale. All right. So she and I, so anyone that's joining us that's new to Evolve, welcome. We're so excited. Bianca and I have discovered this shared love of film. And thanks to Movie Club, we get to speak about films, but ultimately we get to create rooms every single month to watch a film with our fellow Evolvers and let it transform us. Because at the end of the day, film is someone's life work, and Avatar, Fire and Ash was James Cameron and team's life work. And this film took 7 freaking years. So when we got into the room, crazy. I asked Bianca, I said, did you see it? Of course, because I'm not going to get on the mic and we're not going to talk about something that we haven't seen. And she said, oh, like just the expression said it all. So she said, do I have a story for you? So I'm like, okay, what do we got here? So anyways, Bianca, please do share your story, because I do know that everyone that does go and watch this film, they have their own story and I want to hear them. So Evolvers, if you are and have watched this film, please tell us, share us your story of what that was like. Share it in the comments on YouTube, DM us, tag this episode. We want to hear what your story was, because everyone has had a different experience and we want to hear what that experience was. So Bianca, get us started. What was your experience? Sure. I heard it was a late one for you.
A little bit. Also, sorry if my camera's glitching out. It's like not focused at all.
I can see you.
I don't know why. Okay. Yeah, it's not as focused as it typically is, so I apologize for messing around with it. Okay, anyways. So
must have not had its caffeine. She's got
corny.
Jokes. All right.
Corny. Okay. So we actually have Movie Club today, on the day that we are recording this. So yes. I did not have a chance over last week to go see it throughout the week because of my day-to-day. My calendar is a little bit more stringent, so I can't just make extra time to go see a 3-hour freaking movie.
You can't just, fluff off and dance through life and just in the middle of your day go to the movie theater? What?
No. I barely have time to cook myself food in the middle of the day. You think I'm going to go see a 3-hour movie?
Doing it. Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I'm like, okay, when is the time that I actually am going to be able to do this? So when I bought these movie tickets, I was buying these tickets with the idea that I had something else I had to do Sunday. So Sunday was out, and it's like, okay, I have a ton of work that I have to do. when can I realistically go see this movie? So there was the standard option and then there was 3D. And I'm like, I'm not going to not see this movie in 3D. Like,
You got to. Yeah.
If you're
You
going to
have to.
see it, you got to see it right. You have to see it in X Plus.
I'm with you.
So you got to see it in 3D. So I'm like, okay. So it was 6 p.m., which I couldn't do on Friday night.
Because this girl is serving like a baddie throughout the entire day. Okay. Yep. And so what was the other option?
10:30 p.m. Friday night. So
I'm just dying because our bedtime, we're like grandma. We're like
Amelia.
badass grandmas. We
Amelia.
like slay it during the day, but we try to get our ass in bed real early as much as we can.
Amelia,
So I'm sure that was a conflict.
I'm driving to this theater and I'm like, I should be zonked out by now.
I should
like
be
it
nice.
is past my bedtime.
Did you take a
And
Zoe?
yes, I had a Zoe at 4. Because I knew I was going to have to be up till 2 in the frickin' morning,
Brutal.
which I never do.
Yeah.
Unless I'm riding the lightning on a Saturday night.
We're getting
'Cause I'm-
buck wild.
So I'm going to see this movie. I'm like, I never leave my house this late anymore. Nothing good in the world happens past 9 p.m. So I don't leave my house past 9 p.m.
Fair.
But it's like, okay, I have to see this movie. I cannot represent Evolve and show up to movie club having not seen this movie. So we do what we have to do. It's for Evolve. So I go. I was shocked. It was pretty filled. The
Really?
theater was
Yeah.
like, yeah. And I think that was the latest movie.
Yeah.
So-
latest screening.
It was, yeah. So, well, no, for all of the movies. Like, I think that one came out the latest. And there was a lot of people. I was actually really surprised because when I bought the tickets, it was completely empty.
That's great
So,
to hear from someone who's a film lover who like needs to know that this work is being seen around the world and packed. Like that makes me so excited. And we'll
Yes,
get into why in
and-
just a sec.
Yes, and
Oh,
so we're watching this. So we're watching this movie. We get into it. I'm freaking boo-hooing throughout the whole movie because I'm like, we're killing the planet and people are ruining the earth and people think this movie isn't real and whatever.
Yeah.
So
Blue monkeys.
we're in it. I'm experiencing it.
Oh no. Oh no. You know
What?
something's about to happen when she puts her hands between her head or her head between her hands. If she could, she'd put her hands in between her knees.
Amelia, people littered all over the floor. Plastic wrappers, their glasses, water bottles, cans, all over the theater floor.
That makes
On
me
the
so
exit,
sad.
on the way out, there's shit all over the place. And I'm like,
Oh my goodness.
did we
It's
or
devastating.
did we not just watch a movie about how the human race literally destroyed Earth so badly that they have to go to this alien freaking planet to try to find homage because the Earth is destroyed? And like the devastation and the colonization and all of these horrific things that this movie is freaking emulating. And you make the decision to throw plastic and all this other stuff all over the theater.
That's
And it's like this entire situation, us watching a literal movie about the demise of the human race and the demise of our planet and a beautiful culture and species that adores nature and sees the beauty of it and like is actually in tune with each other and the world. And then you exit the theater and just destroy the theater.
yeah.
This is why we need to have this conversation today so desperately. Now, full disclosure, okay? Number one, I know what I said was aggressive. I apologize. I get fired up. Number two, I am not somebody, and the reason I say things like this is because I need everyone to understand this so they're not like, oh, well, good for you guys. You're perfect people, but we're not. No.
Yeah.
I in no way, shape, or form was a person before meeting Amelia that was incredibly conscious about my consumption, incredibly conscious about the earth and the planet, that was conscious about my singular impact on this earth. I knew nothing about it. I didn't care. I was very self-focused in very just ignorant ways. It wasn't out of malice, it was out of ignorance.
Yeah.
And now that I know better, every time I learn something new, I change. So Amelia, well, technically Alan, her partner, courageously called out the fact that me going on drives as like the only thing that I do for R&R is hurting the planet. And I was like, oh my God, I never even thought of that. It is like my one thing about what I love doing to help me decompress. And instantly I stopped doing it. Haven't done it since. So I am a person, when I learn better, I do better. And every single person listening to this podcast has the capacity to do the same thing. And that is the dialogue we are going to be getting into today. Because as someone who was ignorant and didn't know better, now that I know better, it's like you can't unsee it. So, Amelia, this is your genius zone. This is your area of focus. This is the topic we're going to be getting into is literally why we started Evolve, because of the situation that you saw when you went to the Great Coral Reef. So can you help us understand the significance of this film from your lens and how it relates to the realities of what is happening in our world today? Because and why everyone needs to care, because this is real. I know it's a fake film. I know it's technically a fake film. None of us are going to be able to breathe like toxins in the air and whatever and like move to Mars and not be able to wear a mask. Like that's not real, okay?
No.
But what is real is the destruction and the devastation that we as a world are doing to this planet out of greed, out of consumption, out of selfishness, and out of ignorance. So this movie relates to everybody. This isn't just a fantasy film. Amelia, please help us understand why this is so important.
Yeah, thank you for that. And where do I even begin is where my energy goes.
Hey, everybody. I just want to take a minute to talk about my experience with the Evolve Venture Society. Um, they're a wonderful group of people who allow you to communicate in an open and honest way, and they're very supportive and full of positive energy. You can ask anyone for help. You can talk to anyone and ask for questions, and they're very supportive. And all they do is just help you to become the best version of yourself. And if anything, all I want to do is just learn more from this amazing group of people, and I think that they will help anybody who needs it, and that's the best thing that anybody can ask for.
So, what I think is really, really important to talk about is the fact that, well, yes, this might be quote unquote in a sci-fi setting, to what you just said. Thank you so much for taking ownership of that and naming it truthfully of where it is in your world. This is happening. So the unprocessed trauma that nations are experiencing that are then now creating generations that have total disconnection from nature, that have leaders that are incredibly exploitative of natural resources. This is happening all over the world. And it's nothing quote unquote new. However, it has reached an exponential high due to the compound effect of poor leadership from the top down. I'm talking global leaders, top down. And one of the things that, to provide a little context of what you just said, so why Evolve is what it is because at one point during my university, I had gone intentionally to a research program that essentially took us to one of many different spots for our research. And it was all about environmental restoration, environmental research, how tourism has an impact on the world, and explored and researched the degradation of nature as a result of the human species. Nothing else. So obviously we focused in on tourism because that's an easy one, but then we looked at collective intelligence and the systems that degrade or undermine the quote unquote ecological systems that are at play that we take for granted. So an example of this is like just the weather, the patterns, the seasons, how many birds there are, the animal species and the populations. And so this was now so long ago, but it feels right there. Like it feels right there. And what I recall, what my personal research focused in on, we got to do our own, we got to choose our own area of expertise. And my expertise was in the degradation of the coral and the specific species that grow on coral that allow coral to be a live creature. And why I was focusing in on that was specifically because of the systemic impact of ignorance over time, which is essentially one of the focus groups that really was in my research was about just basic application of sunscreen going away on vacation and what the impact of that was shores away from the Great Barrier Reef. So the compound effect of just quote unquote seemingly insignificant, ignorant choices. And when I started that trip, I was really excited. I was sold on the quote unquote beautiful photos of the Great Barrier Reef, everything lively, beautiful, colorful. And by the end of that trip, I came home to the United States and we had gone through the both islands of New Zealand, North and South islands of New Zealand. I went in there, an American, came out a Kiwi, and a Kiwi is someone who is just very much connected with the land. That's what we call, or what is called, many people of New Zealand. And why I say that, it's partly tongue in cheek, but I came out someone who will never be the same. And I had an extreme, what's now being called ecological depression, actually for a year and a half afterwards, which has essentially just brought me down into despair and hopelessness. And I told myself that I will never be someone that contributes to what ignorance has degraded our nature. And so why are we talking about this? And why am I sharing that? Again, not only to provide context, but when I was down underneath the Great Barrier Reef looking at it, I actually saw an underwater graveyard. And what water was filling my goggles underneath the water, I thought that there was a hole poked in my goggles. It was me, and I was just crying uncontrollably underwater because what I saw was indescribable. And now here we are in 2026, January 5th, and we are reading headlines that we have crossed thresholds of devastation that scientists have been warning for years. And I remember back then feeling so depressed and so helpless because when I got home, no one gave a shit about what I was trying to share, which was if we don't do something small, we are going at a fast clip towards ecological collapse. And I was waving the giant white flag and saying we need to do something different. So that literally looked like being in my college dorm, turning off the lights when we were entering the room. As a matter of fact, I had some of my college roommates get really pissed off at me for such. So I say that again. Why? James Cameron, the director of the Avatar series, he actually has a home in New Zealand. And so someone who is very close to nature, he and his wife, if you do research on the actual director, everything that he has put his work into, specifically the Avatar series, what you'll hear is that there is a very close narrative that is echoing cries for help and hope for treating our Earth, this one planet, with the utmost care and concern. Why? Because we do not get it back. And Avatar is a series of films that showcase how it is not something that we get back. It is the only two known planet in the entire multiple galaxies that we have that it has the resources that we have available. As a matter of fact, one of the most rarest resources in the entire galaxy is wood. So fun fact, but I'll take a step back. Now let's actually talk about the film. Why does all this matter? Why am I sharing this? Because when we actually break down Avatar Fire and Ash, as we will do in deep, deep plethoras and movie club, at the end of the day, there's really powerful storylines that, yes, weave us through how our unprocessed grief and trauma impacts down the line how we interact with one another, which is in the in-between, and how we act with one another as cultures, as subgroups, as species, as different quote unquote peoples, ultimately have to quote unquote compete or be collectively collaborative for resources at large. So in the movie, you'll see again the exploitation of whales, which are an incredibly intelligent species, the exploitation of science and of the mycelium network, which is a incredible species of organisms that have untapped healing potential, that in the film itself actually allowed someone who could not breathe the air of Pandora from Earth to now breathe the air of Pandora. And all you saw and all you'll see in that film is how one side of the coin, there are scientists that understand the reverence and the amazement that nature provides if we work with her and if we honor her. And then on the other hand, you find the exploitative people who cannot wait to evacuate Earth and set up an enterprise to be able to further exploit Earth or further exploit Pandora so that we have a quote unquote plan B for people on Earth. The truth is we do not have a plan B. And that's the biggest concerning psychological framework that I want everyone looking at this film from. Now, obviously, Jake Sully and Nitiri, primary characters that are entirely developing through the entire film, are the quote unquote mom and dad that create this journey through the film. And some of the opening sentiments of the film, and I'll kind of pause here and we can kind of take a couple different angles, was and I wrote it down in my notes for movie club, so I'll bring this up. There's the Na'vi way, and then there's my dad's way. And this is coming from one of Jake Sully's son, the living son. And he was essentially referring to his dad's way as the do nothing, say nothing, which is essentially in the aftermath of one of their children dying from war, their entire home completely displaced, sacred whales being destroyed and killed, and so many people dying as a result of all of this completely unprocessed stuff in their inner world, for lack of better words, actually now moving forward into complete displacement of values. And so it really, from my perspective, this film started and ended in a beautiful way that helped us really echo the sentiment. The Na'vi way is very much in honoring of indigenous cultures, which is working with the planet, not feeling entitled and exploitative to the planet and to its species. And then there's my dad's way, do nothing, say nothing, which is representing the collective of how we're not talking about the things that need to be talked about, including grief and mourning periods and the traumas that we're going through. And then how that navigates into a family dynamic, cultural dynamic, that's creating this. Fights, wars, distillation of peace. And so again, you can watch this film from this, oh, it's nice out there. It's that critical cognitive bias that will never happen here. And for anyone who is on that quote unquote end of that will never happen here, you will have a rude awakening, not just in this film, but when it actually is happening in real life, when it's not over in the coral reefs, when it is at your doorstep, when it is on your social media feed when it is actually in your neighborhood. And unfortunately, this film echoes the sentiment of it shouldn't have to happen in your neighborhood for you to care, for you to actually try to change your quote unquote ways.
What's fascinating about the film too is that Jake Sully is on the better end of learning the Na'vi way. So for anyone who hasn't watched the film, Jake Sully was human. He took on one of the Na'vi avatar to go learn the culture of the Na'vi so that he could basically convince them to evacuate so that the humans could basically siphon resources off of their land. That's how the movie starts. The first movie ends with him being, part of the culture. He's now one of the leaders, so on and so forth. In the third film, what you see and what's now happening is Jake Sully and Natiri lost a child due to the war that's happening between the Na'vi people and the humans and the military industrial system. And Jake Sully is trying to be the hero that he knows himself to be, to protect the people, so on and so forth. But he's so blinded by that he's not seeing these external things that are happening because he's just so narrow-minded. So he's not being able to see and process his wife's grief, the impact it's having on his other children. He's blinded by, rage and duty. And what are the implications of that and what are the consequences of that? We do need to start wrapping this up, but the takeaway from this movie that every single one of us need to take away, this is going to happen to our planet. That's why Elon Musk is so gung-ho on getting us sent to Mars. It's basically replicating what this movie is talking about, which we're not here to state an opinion on that and what he's doing, but rather the concept of it. We're killing this planet. Every single one of us. It's not something that's happening over there. It is something that is happening to all of us. And it is all of our duty and our obligation as fellow human beings on this planet, the human species, to come together and to do what we can. And yes, one person can make a difference. Oh, well, if I just pick up that piece of litter, it doesn't matter. Yes, it does. Because when you start to do that, the compound effect eventually comes into play. Because if that were true, Jane Goodall never would have did what she did. Amelia Smith never would have done what she has done and is doing. Evolve Ventures wouldn't be doing what we are doing. There's multiple organizations, nonprofits and private organizations and so on and so forth that are putting out research and trying to do things to clean up the earth, to clean the oceans, that are trying to depollute this earth. Every single one of us has the potential to make amazing, meaningful change for this planet that we all live on, for all of the species that live on this planet that aren't just human, that we take for granted. I was ignorant. I was insanely ignorant. And every day I'm becoming less and less ignorant, and I'm becoming more and more conscious of the impact my life has on this greater earth. And we do all have an impact, and you have to go to sleep at night knowing whether or not that impact is for the better or for worse. And I can't live with myself knowing that my choices are making this world a worse off place. And I hope that this empowers you to do the same.
I love that. And to that end, the reason why Alan spoke up and shared that with you, right? I don't want to leave everyone in the space of like hopelessness and despair, because I've been there. It sends you into a deep depression and a deep, I don't know what to do. That's not where we want to leave you. Your one choice, one decision of being that quote unquote courageous person in your system allows the ripple effect. And that was me. My courage and standing in what I know to be true based on the science, based on literally having direct contact with the science that happened in the Great Barrier Reef that was impacted by so many other countries, miles and miles away, because of what the values that I am speaking about. That's what changed Alan's mind. That's what had Alan have the courage to speak up to you. That's what had you change your mind on what CO2 emissions you're putting into this world. And one thing, if anyone wants this, I am now tracking the CO2 emissions that I single-handedly am contributing to this earth. And I find that a lot of us don't even know what that means and how to understand our emissions. But one fun fact that I found through kind of creating this formula that I can now track and deploy for anyone who wants it and wants to track is the fact that we don't understand that our carbon emissions aren't just here to stay. They're gases that actually stay in our Earth's environment and get trapped in our atmosphere for 1,000 years. So it's not just about what we do today. It's how our choices today are genuinely impacting the future of our generations. And that, oh my God, Bianca, no one knows that. We have done a terrible job at communicating how much our choices every single day have an impact on 1,000 years from now. So with that being said, episode in closing 454, how entertainment can turn you on instead of disassociating and numbing you out. Thank you so much for this conversation. I know you and I both got to go to a call of clients that are waiting for us. Bianca, what's your episode in closing?
442, why certain clutter is hard to let go of. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We hope you feel the fire that is lit under our asses. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.